Okay, so we've talked about arrays and using them and stuff, passing them, using it for data and input. Here's an example we did in the previous video. I'm going to start modifying and showing you how to use arrays as arguments to functions. A couple combinations here. So we're just going to modify this guy. So right now we have this for loop here that's getting the input from the user. It's using the constant array up above for displaying the days, and then it's using the other array to get the input from the user. So let's add a function here that's going to get the input from the user. We'll make that one a void, doesn't need to return anything. Get input. Alright, let's just get the basic structure of a function here and build it up as we go along. Okay, so for this to be a useful thing, we obviously need some inputs. So one of the inputs we need is this array of strings to get the prompting going. So we'll go with that there, and we'll just call it days. It's an array. And then we need the inputs, which is going to be an integer. We'll call it hours also. Name doesn't matter because it matches the parameters to the arguments when we call it. Alright, so there we got parameters. Okay, it's taking two arguments that are both arrays. One will pass in just this guy, even though it's a global. I just want to pass it in to show you that. You can do it that way, or you can just use it local. We'll modify it. Alright, so there we got the two arrays coming in, and only thing we have to do is take this, copy it over here, and paste it in there. And we're going to comment this out for right now and change it so that it calls that function. And I'm only going to add the one function right now. And the first thing we pass in is days of the week and our hours. Let me just semicolon there. Alright, and so nothing should have changed. It's going to ask for the 7 inputs, and we'll see the 7 outputs again. So here's the asking for the hours, nothing on Sunday, and a bunch of numbers for the rest of the week. And there you see the numbers as I typed them in order. Whoops, sorry, you can't see that. Got to move that into proper view. Okay, there we go. It ran it, prompted me for all the inputs, and displayed the same inputs. Alright, so nothing changed from originally. I'll run it real quick again since you didn't see it actually running. Alright, real quick and simple program, prompted me for the inputs. Oops. There we go. Alright, working, nothing changed. But I passed the two pieces of data, two arrays in this case, and this is using those arrays. Now this is a global array that's constant, so I really don't need it as a parameter, so I could take that one off, which means I got to modify it down here. Right, and nothing will change there also. Get that window up and running. Here we go. Alright, again same thing, bunch of random numbers going in, and you see it works no problem. Right, changed it a couple different ways. So this is simply telling the function that it's going to get an array. It doesn't know the size. Right? We don't put anything in the brackets, so it doesn't know the size of the data it's getting. Alright, so the index here, this number has to be known to this program as it goes along. Now, the way to clean that up a little bit and makes it useful that it can expand in the future. We'll call it size, and we set it equal to 7. So instead of using this hard-coded value, we're going to use size, and we're going to use size down here also. Alright, so a little cleaner. We don't have to provide it the data for the days of the week because it's a constant global variable. Those are really the only global variables you should have, are the ones that are constant. Not good to have other variables that are global. Still working, nothing's changed. Alright, so we had this with two parameters, both were arrays, took one out, still working. Added a constant here for the number of days in the week. Alright, oop, I missed one here. We can change this 7 to a size also. Alright, so we got that. So now let's make one more function that's going to eliminate this guy for us. Well, it's just simply going to be a display function. And we'll call it display values. It's going to take an input. It only needs the hours again. Right, and just to show you that it does not matter the name of this, I'm going to simply call it X. Not a great name, but just to show you that the names do not matter on functions. Again, reinforcing that even with arrays. I'm going to take this piece of code out of here now, put it into this function for us. Alright, I'm using X here, so I have to change hours to X. Alright, and that should be happy, and I just call that now. Display values, pass it hours. Alright, again, I'm just passing a whole array in, and it should work with no issues here. Go get that window. Alright, there it is. Alright, works again, getting all the inputs and displaying all the inputs. Alright, just to show you that the inputs to a function can also be a single value. Actually, I don't want this loop in here. Let's get this out of here. And I'll put it back in here just to change the call a little bit. So let's get rid of that and get rid of that. So this is simply expecting one integer value, and it's going to output it on the screen with a new line character. Alright, so let's clean that up a little bit. Alright, so we're going to change this because that won't work anymore, because that's passing in the whole array. But I want to pass in individual pieces of the array. Remember, it's an integer array, so each piece when I index into it is just simply an integer. So this will compile just like before and run, displaying the information the same way. Nothing should change. Alright, so we can pass data of the array as individual pieces, or we can pass the entire array around. It gives us many choices, right, all depending on how we need to use it. In this function, it would make more sense to display the entire array. But you can see I can pull out individual pieces just like this. This is pulling out a single integer value, passing it to this function here, and assigning that integer value to the X, and I'm displaying it. Right, so we can pass data back and forth that way. Alright, so arrays can be used as arguments, as whole arrays, or as individual pieces.